Good morning and Happy New Year, one and all. And before you ask, yes, that is a Rick and Morty t-shirt. I hope you all had a very good festive season and celebrated in whatever manner you enjoyed. And I hope you overdid it if that's what you wanted to do, and not overdo it if that's what you wanted to do. And generally speaking, had a jolly old time. And here we are again, starting the new year in with a lot of vavavoom and vim and vigor, and all ready for yet another year of excitement. I wanted to start the year with a very quick video about, well, shocking enough, one of my favorite topics, which is the way society views LGBTQI plus people. And I've read a bit about this throughout the holidays, as I do, and it amused me. Well, amused is not the right word, I suppose, but it kind of made me wonder as to what the latest thing that people complain about when talking about the community, especially about trans people. Now, historically, the LGBTQI plus community was considered to be, against God. There was some sort of religious connotation behind it, and of course that still remains. But it's, funnily enough, not the primary source of concern for most people. Then we had the illegal element, the fact that there was an element of illegality because it was against the societal norms, which we had until fairly recently in the UK anyway. So basically, the suggestion is that being a gay or trans or part of the community is in some sort of way against the law or the law of the land. So, between kind of an element of being against God and being illegal against the laws of man, if you like. And now we have another concern when it comes about the community, especially about trans people. And there's this kind of sort of moral rectitude, this kind of a safety issue. So now we've kind of gone beyond the fact that gay people could be illegal or immoral, or LGBTQI plus, and now trans people are seen as somehow corrupting, or indeed a not a thing, just more of a way in which people can behave in an illegal way and get away with it. So the suggestion now is that trans people, are a gateway to criminality. So, for example, I could pretend I'm a trans woman to gain access to women's ladies' toilets, and therefore, cause all sorts of havoc there. So the current argument, especially from increasingly verbal and notorious transphobic people like J.K. Rowling and others, is that trans people are not valid, but in fact they are pretend criminals. They are using this fad, this kind of newfound thing, which is just another, societal trend to be trans, to cause mischief and mayhem. And there's the right-wing press is full of reports of people who have committed some sort of crimes and then came out as transgender in prison to get a fairer deal. So, interestingly, I found this quite extraordinary as an argument. Firstly, that being trans is a gateway to criminality, and secondly, that people aren't really trans, they're just using it either because it's a fad, so it's an accessory to their lifestyle, or because they are using it to commit a crime. Now, I'm asking you, if I'm a man who is so inclined to cause harm to women, and I'm, for example, chasing one or stalking one, would the fact that this particular woman that I am wishing harm upon is walking into a lady's toilets, would that really stop me? Would I then be compelled to dress in a feminine way just to gain access to that particular? Would I just not walk in and cause harm upon her if that's what I wish? So the point I'm making is that would I really need to pretend I'm transgender to cause that crime if I am so inclined? And I would suggest the answer is no. I'm either somebody who wants to harm a woman or I'm not. The whole transgender issue doesn't really need to come into this argument at all. So associating now trans people with an element of corruption Firstly, it's a fad, and secondly, it's some sort of a corruption which causes criminal acts. That's the latest thing that the community has to face. And it's now become a political issue because any sort of political moderation is seen as weakness, as somehow we're corrupting our children. So, in a sense, the aggression towards community has evolved in many new interesting ways. We went from, I say, being some sort of amoral or against the laws of God to being against the laws of man, and again somehow corrupting the ways of the land, to now basically being a trend, a fad, which leads to an element of criminality. That's the latest thing. And especially the press, and especially the right-wing press, is phenomenally full of either cases of criminality, which the transgender is just a by story, if you like, but they have to focus it, or indeed the cases of where somebody who's transgender and may have gone back to their original transition, and now the story is that, oh, there's regret, I should never have transitioned, there's regret, there's terrible regret. The statistics and the research shows that actually people who have detransition are infinitely smaller than the people who have happily transitioned and live happily in their true selves. So this whole issue that transitioning is only causing regret is just not factually valid, not surprisingly, really. But interestingly, and I'll leave you with this thought, is I have had a look last year on what the press said, both left wing and right wing, and even centre, if you consider BBC to be centre. Interestingly, not one of those publications. So I've looked at The Guardian, The Independent, which says, say, centre-left, and I've looked at The Telegraph and The Times in UK, which are right. And as I say, if we consider the BBC to be the centre stage of all these sort of views, and funnily enough, not one of those publications had a genuinely positive trans story. Just haven't. Some of them are factual reports of some things, which tend to be The Independent, for example, and The Guardian to a certain extent. And as you'd expect, everything else is just trash, in a sense that they are just using their platform to basically criminalize and sensationalize the trans community, and essentially paint a target on trans people's backs, which is extraordinary. So we live in an age where you can't get a positive trans story to save your life. And actually, quite rightly, if I was a member of the trans community, and as an ally, I am genuinely concerned about the way the narrative is sensationalizing, and it's actually inciting to violence and to hatred towards the community. So I would like to start the new year with a message of love, and saying that if you're a trans person who is rightly feeling anxious about the future, know that there is one person out there who is genuinely on your side, and that you matter, and that you're valid, and that you're loved. Have a good rest of the year.